Let me introduce you to Major Vikram Chauhan. Now, if you were to just look at him, you'd think, wow, that's the perfect soldier. He's a decorated black hat commando, a guy who seems like he was chiseled out of pure discipline and control. His whole life, his entire identity is wrapped up in this really rigid, hardened idea of what it means to be a man.
So you gotta ask yourself, right? What happens when all that armor starts to crack? When the very foundation of a man like that gets shaken to its core? Not by some enemy on a battlefield, but by something as simple as a forgotten song and a memory he didn't even know he had. Well, that's the incredible story we're diving into. Okay, so to really get where this story's going, we've got to peel back the layers on who this guy was before everything changed. Because honestly, his entire life wasn't so much lived as it was, well, performed. He was constantly trying to live up to these impossibly high standards set by his father, all while burying a family secret that was just eating him up inside.
To the world, Major Chauhan is the man. He's the ultimate leader, a commando who gets nothing but respect. But underneath that shiny exterior, he's a mess. Those harsh words from his father when he was just a kid are still ringing in his ears, and has created this desperate need to constantly prove his masculinity. Professionally, this comes out as a pretty strong prejudice against women in combat roles. And in his personal life, it means a series of short, shallow relationships that always fizzle out because he just can't let his guard down and be vulnerable.
And this belief, it's everything to him. For Vikram, this isn't just a professional opinion he holds. It's like a shield. It's protecting this really fragile sense of who he is. And this whole worldview is about to be put to the ultimate test because the government has just given the green light for women to join his elite unit. So yeah, things are about to get complicated, both inside his head and out in the real world.
So think of his whole personality as this fortress he's built. And now, the first cracks are about to appear, and they're coming from two places he never would have expected. First, from a woman who is about to shatter every single one of his stereotypes, and second, from a haunting old song that's going to unlock a past he was literally forced to forget. This is where Vikram's carefully constructed world just smacks right into reality. He meets this woman, Meenal, and the chemistry is instant, it's intense, but true to form, he keeps it on the surface. Then, one night, he sees a bunch of guys harassing her outside a pub. He's all ready to step in, play the hero, and bam, she takes care of all of them herself, with expert skill. He's just floored. And then he finds out she's not just a trained martial artist. She's just been approved to join his commando unit. His entire world gets rattled, his prejudices flare up, and in the huge argument that follows, whatever they had just shatters. But hold on, because in that same pub, literally moments before they argued, something else happened. A song comes on, jhumka gira, and it's like a switch flips in his brain. It triggers something deep inside him that completely unravels him. This right here is the pivot point for the entire story. That song isn't just music, it's a key. And it just unlocked a door to a traumatic childhood memory he had buried so deep he didn't even know it was there. The very event that forged this rigid, performative masculinity he's been living his whole life. He's suddenly 5 years old again, dancing his heart out with pure joy at a family party. His father finds him, hits him, and screams, "Don't be like your brother Vijay." Now why? What was so wrong with Vijay? Well, his older brother was transgender, and their father had already kicked Vijay out of the house, disowning him as a disgrace. In that one brutal moment, little Vikram learned a horrible lesson. That joy, that dance, anything his father thought was feminine, was a weakness that would get you punished and abandoned. And there's a name for this. It's called generational trauma. It's when the pain, the shame, and the prejudice of one generation gets finally passed down to the next. His father's fear was literally forced into him, making him build this emotional fortress and spent his entire life trying to be the exact opposite of the brother he was taught to hate. So, as you can imagine, he is just shaken to his core. His mom encourages him, and Vikram does the only thing a soldier knows how to do. He turns his internal crisis into a mission. He makes a vow to find his brother Vijay and somehow atone for what his family did.
Yeah, but this mission isn't going to be like any he's ever faced. There were no guns, no tactics. To succeed, he has to completely drop the commando act and step into a world his family shunned. And his only weapon is this desperate need for forgiveness.
So, his search leads him to this incredible woman named Hirabai, a fierce leader who protects her community.
And she doesn't just hand over an address. Nope, she tests him. She forces him into a fight with her people. And Vikram, this elite commando, is just methodically worn down. For the first time in his life, he's pinned, defenseless. And he does the one thing his training never prepared him for. He surrenders. He drops the soldier persona and just screams this raw apology for his family's cruelty. He proves he's worthy not with force, but with vulnerability. And only then does she let him meet his sibling, who now lives her life as Vyajayanti. And her demand is so simple, yet so profound. You have to accept me as the sister I am, not as the brother you remember.
And Hirobai's words just hit him like a ton of bricks. They completely redefined what strength means to him. It's not about being the toughest guy in the room anymore. He's finally starting to see that real strength, it's about humility, it's about being vulnerable, and it's about love. So, armed with this totally new understanding, Vikram goes back to the training center, but he is a fundamentally changed man. And this huge internal shift, well, it's about to make some serious waves, forcing him to confront the very systems he used to represent. This whole journey has boiled down to one critical question for him. He was raised to believe in this rigid, institutional standard of strength, but now he's seen a different kind, a more flexible, adaptive kind. So which one really matters when people's lives are on the line? And this all comes to a head during their final high-stakes hostage rescue simulation. Meenal comes up with this brilliant but totally unconventional strategy. Vikram's superior, who is the embodiment of the old guard, immediately orders him to shut her down and stick to the book. And in that make-or-break moment, Vikram refuses the order. He puts all his trust in Meenal and gives her full command. And guess what? Her plan works flawlessly. In the debrief, he defends her, and in doing so, he publicly rejects the rigid ideology he once lived by, making a powerful stand for competence over conformity. And that same courage he showed on the job, he brings it home. He finally takes Vyajayanti to see their mother, Rekha. And he doesn't present her as some ghost of the son they lost. No, he introduces her with love and pride as the sister he has found. It's just this incredibly powerful moment of healing and acceptance. And all of this brings us to the powerful conclusion of Vikram's journey. It's this one final act of integration, where he publicly embraces every single part of himself, the soldier, the brother, the son, and yes, the dancer. So picture this. There's a private party after the official graduation. Vikram has invited everyone, trainees, officers, his family. The lights dim, and a dancer in a veil takes the stage, moving to Jhumka Gira. That song, the one that caused him so much trauma, is now transformed into a performance of pure, uninhibited joy. And as the song hits its peak, the dancer removes the veil, and the entire room goes silent. It's Major Vikram Chauhan. I mean, in that one single stunning act, he is reclaiming the joy that was literally beaten out of him as a child. He then brings his sister Vyajayanti onto the stage to dance with him. And in that moment, all the rigid hierarchies of military rank, of gender, of family shame, they all just melt away. All that's left is a simple, beautiful, shared humanity. Vikram's journey really leaves us with this final, powerful question to chew on. He started out as a man who believed strength was about control, about forcing others to fit into a neat little box. But what he learned is that true, lasting strength isn't found in breaking others down, but in having the immense courage to break yourself open and embrace all the pieces of who you really are.